Welcome back to The Muster Point, the podcast where veterans regroup, spin war stories, and occasionally admit to things that probably still live in a dusty regimental file somewhere. I'm Stu Mendelson, former Royal Engineer, and a man once punished for improper use of a mop, which I still maintain was an innovative cleaning technique, just ahead of its time, really.
And I'm Steve Black, ex-2nd Royal Tank Regiment, co-host, unofficial ambassador for extras, and mostly here to make sure Stu doesn't accidentally incriminate himself again. Today's episode is an absolute belter. Forces punishments, from harmless bollockings to full-blown ceremonial stitch-ups that felt more theatrical than disciplinary.
Let's be honest, discipline in the forces was a language all of its own. You didn't need to speak fluent military. You just had to stand still, look sorry, and try not to blink while someone shouted your entire ancestry at you.
And some units took it more serious than others. Even the RAF Reg had a go at discipline, though let's be honest, their idea of a punishment parade probably involved oat milk and a Coldplay playlist.
Careful, mate. You'll have them storming the studio in tactical gilets and artisan beard oil.
As long as they don't scuff their suede boots, we'll be fine.
Anyway, today's episode is all about those classic forces punishments, the good, the bad, and the absolute piss yourself funny. We'll be digging into the weirdest stitch-ups we've seen, survived, or heard whispered in the cookhouse queue. From unofficial unit justice to the kind of tales that still get dragged out at reunions, usually after 3 pints and a bad karaoke attempt.
And some of the best ones didn't even happen to us, so naturally we're nicking them. Plus, some of you legends sent in absolute crackers, and we'll be reading a few of those out too.
This is the muster point, where the bollockings were brutal, the banter's relentless, and if you've never been punished for something you didn't do, you were probably in the RAF regiment.
Right, let's crack on before someone slaps us with an official warning for conduct unbecoming of a podcast environment.
Episode 8.
Hello.
Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be the first episode where you're going to have something to actually say about what you've done this weekend or since the last time we recorded. So, what have you been up to, Steve?
Well, we've done the, we had the muster point on Tuesday.
Yeah. That was another good one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's always good.
We're averaging about, how many? Must be about 25 odd people, of various backgrounds, different ages. Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Mainly Army, though, isn't it?
Mainly Army, yep.
Yeah.
Few RAF. I noticed that I think it was the RAF, they were congregating together.
Yeah, let them get on with it.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's that one random matlow that just walks around talking to anyone.
We've got two.
Oh, have we?
Yeah, we've got two. Got Glenn and John.
Oh, yeah, Glenn weren't there last Tuesday, though, was he?
No.
Hope you're all right, Glenn.
Yeah, let us know.
You haven't drowned or you're in a shipwreck somewhere. So come on in, Steve. Tell us all about the Tank Regiment Museum.
Well, I went to the Tank Regiment Museum. No, I started off Thursday. I went to an awards thing at work. We got told to meet at the Hilton Hotel in London, central London. So we all met there and we was going to a secret location for a party.
Ooh.
So we were right next to the Tate Modern and the Globe Theatre. So we thought, that's where we're going to. So we walked down to the Thames, jumped on a boat. We thought, oh, what? And the boat was full of beer and champagne and food. We thought, the party's on a boat.
Yeah.
Great. So we drove up the Thames or sailed up the Thames, whatever they do. Spun round and then headed back and went past HMS Belfast. I thought, I wonder if we're going to go on there.
You get excited, did you,
about
that?
And then we ended up at the Tower of London, which was, I was shocked, to be quite honest.
I think you shared with me, come on, Steve, you was a bit more than shocked, weren't you?
It brought a tear to my Jap's eye. So I walked around with an hard-on, to be quite honest.
Did you?
Yeah, the Beefeater has done a guided tour.
Yeah.
And I was half pissed.
Was you?
Yeah, and he's walking around the Tower of London with a bottle of beer in my hand.
I bet that must have been quite novel.
It was, yeah. Like I say, an erection and a bottle of lager.
Yeah. How were the crown jewels?
Mine or theirs? No, we went to see the crown jewels. We had to leave our beers outside.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a load of crap in it. It's a load of bling. I don't wear jewellery.
So did you speak to any of the Beefeaters about the muster point?
I did. I gave a few of them their cards.
Oh, yeah.
Our cards, sorry, with the details on. They seemed quite interested. I had a chat with one of them. I think his name is Chris. He was ex-Queen's Regiment.
Okay.
Wound him up a bit.
Yeah.
Asked him where the crows were.
Yeah.
He expressed his love for the ravens.
All right.
And they're not crows.
Okay.
I'm not a bird specialist.
We know what a crow is, don't we?
We do.
A crow bag.
Yeah. But Yeah, they had a chat with him, and yeah, it's nice. And then we went to a function room there and had a big party. Load more beer and all that.
And you got an award, didn't you, Steve?
I did.
Go on, what did you get an award for?
Speed and agility.
Really?
I've never had an award for my speediness. I fixed the machine. I didn't really do fuck all, really.
Yeah.
I think I got stitched up by my mate. And apparently, because I was sat next to the head of HR.
Yeah.
Coach GB.
Best behaviour.
Yeah, I got warned about it, behave. But apparently because it was like a crappy BAFTAs, they had a video come up of whoever nominated you.
I don't know, mate. Like, you shared the video with me, and it looks like, I mean, to have a private event at the Tower of London, it can't have been cheap.
No, I know. But what I mean is, like, the video come up with the person who nominated you.
Yeah.
And they spoke about you and all this. And we sat there, and I didn't realise I was getting an award. A video of my mate Kev come up, and apparently, I don't remember saying it, but I just went, wanker. Really
in front
loud.
of the head,
Yeah, really loud.
in front of the head of HR.
Yeah, but she laughed.
Oh, bless her.
Yeah, when I got me a award, and then I don't remember much after that. I was quite pissed. There was so much beer. There was just buckets of beer everywhere, champagne.
Was there any Coke?
Only cans.
Yeah. No white powder.
No.
It was funny, the video you sent me. Where was you? I take it you had a table and a seat, because the video you sent me, it looked like either you were coming out of the toilet or stood with the waiting staff.
I was probably having a chat with helping him. I was probably clearing up with the waiters.
Yeah, exactly.
But
it was a good night.
It was, yeah. And then, like I say, the beef eaters coming out a beer with us after, I had a chat and a laugh with him. So, yeah, we had a good laugh.
Good.
So,
Did, because obviously Chizard, he works for Coca-Cola as well with you. Well, different areas, but was he there?
No, was he? Fuck.
Oh.
You don't deserve an award. Not like me.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because obviously I created that poll on Facebook to see whether our listeners wanted Chizard back, and at the moment, I think there's a day left on the poll, everyone wants him back, basically.
Never mind.
Including some random woman from Swansea. So, Yeah.
Well, I voted against it. I want to get rid of him.
I saw that.
My wife fancies him. So.
Well, your wife said that if he doesn't come back, we're no longer allowed to use your dining room as our recording studio.
We'll go in the bedroom then.
Oh. So what else did you do?
Well, after that, the next morning, we had to drive. Me and my missus went to Bournemouth. It was the 8th Royal Tank Regiment's annual reunion.
Excellent.
The 8th Royal Tank Regiment disbanded in 1960, so you can imagine how old they are. Like most of these, well, it's only a few.
What was you doing there then?
Supporting them.
Oh,
there aren't many. There's only a few of them there.
Yeah.
And a few widows, but they're all in their late...
Weirdos?
Widows.
Oh, widows.
There's a couple of weirdos. But no, I had such a laugh. Like, there's two brothers, Alan and Fred, and they are just hilarious. They're like 20-year-olds, giving each other shit. The banter, it's unbelievable. On a Saturday, me and my missus went to the Tank Museum. It's not that far away, so I showed her a thing or two about tanks.
Fucking hell. Well, oh my God.
I took a magnetic muster point sign and I stuck it on all the tanks and got loads of photos. And had a few weird
you were belt feeding me tank porn over the weekend, weren't you?
There's a weird smell.
What?
It must be steel and diesel. But even like the Challenger 2, when I went up to it, there's a smell and it's like, I remember that smell. I've been out of the army 15 years now, but it was a smell and it's like, I missed that.
Oh dear. Well, so what, did your missus have a good time?
Yeah, she likes tanks, weirdly.
She'd have to, living with you.
One of my mates called her a tank whore.
Charming. Which mate was this?
Quite a few of them. Mainly Chrissy Bryant, I think. So,
and is she aware that she gets...
Yeah.
Okay. Now she take that.
She loves it.
She fucking...
But got back to the hotel and these two brothers had been out for a couple of pints.
Yeah.
They were pissed as a fart.
Yeah.
It's 4:00 in the afternoon. They couldn't talk. I helped them get to their room and I said, I'll wake up in a couple of hours because we've got a formal meal.
Yeah.
It turns out...
Wait until they fell asleep and wanked them off, did you?
Yeah, I'll give them a stroke, good night. But they'd bumped into some Remy sergeant who's still serving.
All right.
He's serving with a KRH. He's got 2 years left. So if that person's listening, please let us know what you did to these two poor old blokes because they was very happy and pissed. And but they said that they had a drink with him, bought him a drink. He bought him a drink back, and one thing led to another, and they ended up paralytic.
Nice.
But they had a couple of hours kip, got up, and they carried on drinking.
Fucking fair play to them.
Yeah, proper funny bloke.
What were their names?
Alan and Fred, the Seven Brothers. They said we're the Seven Brothers.
That, isn't it?
I said, where's the others? I went, no, there's only two of us. But yeah, proper. They was telling me a story in the 50s when Elvis Presley was in the army because he was in the tank corps in the American army. These two brothers were based in Fallinbostel, where I was based, actually. And Elvis, the American army was using Honer Ranges. So they was on guard duty one night and they got told Elvis is coming to do a little song and dance for the officers in the officers' mess.
Shake those hips, did he?
Because he was actually a staff car driver. He was in the tank corps, but he weren't on tanks.
Yeah.
So he said about 8 o'clock, whatever, Elvis is going to come through the gate. Don't stop him, just let him straight through.
Yeah.
Well, they stopped him, made him get out of the car, searched everything. But they said they had a right chat with him and he was a good laugh.
Yeah.
So proper good blokes. But
So how many people were at this reunion?
about 12.
12.
Yeah, it's quite sad. But I'll say there's not many of them left. And the ones that are left, there's a few more that come before, but they were too ill to come.
Yeah.
For me, it's so important to get these funny stories out of them.
Yeah.
And just show you, they love speaking to the younger lads. Yes, I'd advise anyone.
I'd have thought, because you got a few mates you served with down that area.
Yeah.
Like Stuttering Smithy ain't too far away, is he?
It's not well advertised, to be fair. Well, if you're part of a branch in the association, it gets advertised. But other than that, it's not.
Did he, the serving Royal Tank Regiment unit send anyone down or anything?
No, there's a bloke, Dave Larkham, he was RSM in the 90s.
Yeah.
He's the chairman of the Bournemouth branch of the association.
Yeah.
He pretty much runs the whole association. Really nice bloke. Puts a lot of effort into organising things.
Yeah.
He was there, him and his wife. But other than that, it's just me, I think.
So did you get any recordings, any interviews with these guys?
I couldn't talk. I was
too
going
paralytic,
to do a little interview. Hey, they was from Manchester and I was pissed.
What are you saying about people from Manchester?
Well, they was like walking like Ian Brown.
The Happy Mondays.
All right. No, proper lovely blokes, but I said they was just too pissed to get a story out of
fair
them.
one.
I'll do it next time. They've got another one in October.
Yeah.
The official reunion is in March, and that's the 80th, and they're saying that's going to be the last one.
Really?
Yeah, which is sad.
That is sad.
But I did say, well, why can't we carry it on? Because next month there's I think it's a 2 RTR, Second Royal Tank Regiment reunion in Weymouth.
Yeah.
And I did tell all these old people about that. I said it is going to be a messy one. There might be nudity, there might be punch-ups, there might be eyebrows getting shaved off.
Yeah.
That's probably not suitable for widows in their 80s.
Well, why not? Don't exclude them.
Well, yeah, true.
Yeah. They might, what is it, equity, diversity and inclusion? Like, age is a protected characteristic, so you shouldn't be excluding them.
Yeah, but to be quite honest, I know what my mate Cheeks is like, and he would be after these old ladies.
So it's safer for them to stay at home. Otherwise, they'll be at risk of, was it VD or something? Right. What
have you been up to?
What have I been up to? So I've been busy planning the Muster Point 80th anniversary VE Day event. Steve and I.
Was that VE or VD Day?
VD Day. Yeah, so the Muster Point breakfast that we do, so we're going to organise a 80th anniversary for VE Day, which will take place at the location up Fairlands Valley Park in Stevenage on the 13th of May, which is a Sunday, 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. Mainly because, well, there's a few reasons, because A, it's a good thing to celebrate, a good thing to remember. We've mentioned in previous episodes how our local British Legion are organising a VE Day event, but calling it a D-Day event, which was the 80th anniversary last year. And also because we have been contacted by so many veterans locally that are unable to attend Tuesday mornings because they work. So hopefully having an event at the weekend will enable these people to attend.
Yeah, no excuses.
No. And we're going to make it family friendly. I've got half a plan to have a bouncy castle, face painting, arts and crafts. So bring the kids.
Arts and crafts. It's going to be a good day.
What am I meant to do?
We're trying to attract ex-squaddies and stuff, and you're saying arts and crafts.
Well, no, but so they can bring their kids for fuck's sake.
What a wall of graffiti, spray cans.
Yeah. But maybe we'll. Well, I'm an ex-engineer, so I can build like a sanger out of sandbags, so everyone can graffiti it. Oh God, yeah. So we're organising that, so we'll keep you updated. Feel free to come along. I also had a conversation with a listener, but I haven't confirmed with him to read out his name. He submitted an interesting story off the back of last week's episode about life after service and jobs. He applied for a job with, who is it, Southern Gas Networks down on the south coast, and he was pretty much rejected straight away. So what he decided to do was change the name on his CV to his wife's name, his wife's of Filipino origin, and applied for the same job, same CV, different name on the top, and instantly got a reply inviting them for an interview, which is just fucking crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Didn't you say they've signed up to the Armed Forces Covenant?
Yeah. So I looked into it. So Southern Gas Networks are signed up to the gold standard Armed Forces Covenant, and I don't know. I'm a bit speechless.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. It's that positive discrimination taken to the extreme,
Yeah.
but also you're discriminating against an underrepresented group in veterans who you've signed up to protect and promote. It is crazy, that. Absolute crazy.
It just proves it is box ticking.
Yeah.
It makes them look good.
Oh, yeah, on their website, there's a picture of them.
And I don't know if they get funding or it probably gets something, you know.
It looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, look what we're doing.
Yeah.
But in reality, it ain't happening. So
It probably helps with their contracts and things like that.
Yeah, of course. So I emailed for a response. I've also put it on my LinkedIn and tagged them in it and see what they say, because it's concerning. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So the reason why this guy is applying for jobs is because he's looking at being made redundant. He runs a team, and himself, other team leaders, the members of the team, they're all in this position where they don't know. They're having to interview for their own jobs again, and they don't know whether they're going to get made redundant or not. And we've spoke about it before in terms of the Northern Ireland veterans having that thing hanging over them, not knowing, and it'd be easier to just tell me, have I got a job or haven't I? But we mentioned last week about the Forces Employment Charity, so he's signed up with them, and part of the Forces Employment Charity is one of these government Op Prosper, and he had some good things to say about it. So even though it's only early days, as soon as he's signed up, he can access this portal with free training courses, and he says it is quite good. So he's going to keep us updated with his journey with them.
It's nice to hear a positive thing from like a charity organisation.
Yeah.
Because normally there's a bit of a catch, isn't there? Normally it sounds better than what it actually is, but that sounds like it.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
I mean, we can only comment on what we know now.
Yeah.
But yeah, this week, again, it's just been all positive comments. So keep sending your stories in and we'll read them out. Let us know how you're getting out there in the big, bad world. So coming on to today's icebreaker question. Do you want to read it out, Steve?
Yes, I do. Did punishments actually work, or were they just a rite of passage?
So for me, I don't think they did.
I think you always had the same blokes who got in the same
definitely.
trouble every time.
I don't know, because there was the punishments for someone's fucked up on the piss.
Yeah.
Like, you could punish someone as much as you like, and that you're never curing that.
So I always got, I didn't get in trouble a lot for me. I always got up to mischief. I always got away with it.
Yeah.
But you always had them same people who didn't get away with it.
I know.
And always left themselves wide open for getting caught.
Yeah. The shit magnet, we called them.
Yeah. My mate Donna's was one of them.
I don't know. It was a bit of a rite of passage, I think. I mean, if you'd been at your unit for 12 months and hadn't been in trouble, then there was something wrong with you.
Yeah. Bit of a goody two-shoes.
Yeah. Like, and plus you had group punishments, didn't you? So one person fucked up and then you all get it.
The first time I really got in trouble, the first time I got to my regiment in January, went on Easter leave, April time. My mate said to me, he goes, look, I ain't got no money, but if you pay for the ferry and the fuel, I'll take us home. We lived in Germany, so long drive, a 10-hour drive or something. So we drove all the way home. I had me leave.
Yeah.
We got paid while we was on leave, so I spunked it all. Like, we had a couple of weeks
Standard.
Lived like a millionaire for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And then I didn't care because I thought, he's paying for the journey back, not a problem. So we're driving home. We got on a ferry at Dover, and as we drove up the ramp, he went, by the way, I've got no money. And I had about 15 quid on me. I went, what? He was like, well, we've got to get back. So I said, let's just see how far. We had a tank full of fuel. I said, let's see how far we go.
Yeah.
So we got to Germany, and it conked out on the motorway. We was literally like driving 50 miles an hour the whole journey. When we was going downhill, we was coasting.
Yeah.
You know, and we got really far. I think we got near Hanover, something like that. And conked out on the Autobahn, and I just sat there, like gritting my teeth, wanting to, fuming. Next thing you know, the Polizei have pulled up, and they've got out with their guns, because that's what they do.
Yeah.
And what's wrong? We said, we've got no fuel. And they're just looking at us like, fucking idiots.
Yeah.
But I think they can arrest you for that over there.
Oh, can they?
Yeah. If you break down, and it's because you haven't maintained your vehicle, it's your fault. So anyway, they towed us off the Autobahn and just dumped us in the middle of nowhere. So we were just like...
What now?
Yeah, and I said to him, just don't talk to me a minute. I just need And I remember he had it was a Mark II Golf, and this other Mark II Golf pulled up in front of us. The blokes got out, a van come along, and they all got in a van and drove off. And I was just like, is this a gift from the gods? Well, I had a knife in my bag.
Yeah.
I went and stuck it in their fuel tank. Nicked all their petrol.
Fucking hell.
Filled a water bottle up and just nicked all their petrol.
Why didn't you just siphon it out?
Didn't have an hose. So these poor Germans, they've probably come back from work like some British wankers nicked all their petrol and ruined their fuel tank.
And then you got home, did you? Or
Yeah,
back
but
to camp?
we was a day late.
Okay.
So cause we just slept in the car that night.
Yeah.
Didn't talk to each other. Just like, and yeah, so we got back to camp a day late. By that time, I think my mate Paul, I mentioned before, he was my loader. He's been out looking for us. He's driving down because he knew because we didn't really have phones. I think I might have used a landline.
Yeah.
And let them know we're not going to get back, so we run out of fuel. We were on a motorway. So he's come out looking for us. But we got back to camp and we were in front of the Sergeant Major. And he was actually all right about it, to be fair. We told him what we'd done and he was just like, fucking good lads. That's a good effort. But no wonder they hate the Brits over there.
Yeah. Imagine being that German coming back.
Yeah.
And you said it was in the middle of nowhere.
It was, yeah. But, I was just glad it was petrol because if I'd have stabbed his fuel tank with diesel, we'd still be sat there. And he'd come home from work. But, so like I say, I got away with it somehow.
Yeah. But do you think punishments worked?
No, not really.
No.
Like I say, I got in trouble a few times for drunken things.
Yeah.
Like I still got in trouble again and again.
Yeah. When I was having a think about today's episode, that was the running theme for me, that most of my punishments were for being late from being on the piss or being pissed, and I carried on doing it. Yeah. So obviously the punishments didn't work. I wanted to apologise because the last week's episode was over 2 hours long, and I'm just a bit concerned that maybe it's too long.
Well, Rab actually said to me it's not long enough. He said he likes it long.
Oh, yeah, long and hard.
Yeah, he said he works long hours and he likes it long.
Yeah, fair one, Rab. Yeah, no, I haven't had any negative feedback about the length of it, but I guess I'm just bringing it up.
It was a long episode, but I feel like it was a useful episode, if you know what I mean.
I'd like to think so.
We've had some feedback.
I'd like to think they're all useful.
Oh, yeah, but it weren't as much banter. It was more actual experiences and useful information.
Yeah.
And I say the feedback we've had is saying people have used some of the stuff we mentioned.
Yeah. If you think it was too long, let us know, and we probably won't do anything about it.
No, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Let's go on to some armed forces and veterans news. I haven't been watching that much Good Morning Britain or whatever it was I was watching last week, so I didn't see any of these politicians winding me up. So what have we got? We got a little bit, haven't we?
Yeah. They're probably still throwing young lads under the bus.
Yeah.
Nothing will change, will it?
No.
I think the whole Ukraine thing, obviously, that's the top thing on the news.
Still in there, isn't it?
Yeah, but from what I understand, they're talking about a ceasefire. Ukraine have agreed to... The US has laid out plans. Ukraine's agreed to them plans, which have pretty much thrown themselves under the bus. But they've got no other choice. But I think Russia are now dilly-dallying a little bit about it. So, but the only good thing, because Ukraine's agreed to what the terms were, America's agreed to turn the taps back on and give them weapons and intelligence.
Yeah, the other things I found, although saying that, coming back, that Ukraine thing, so I did see in somewhere, it could have just been social media, so it may be a spurious fact, but it was something about Ukraine building a £1.2 billion ski resort.
They've got to spend all these billions that everyone's giving them.
I don't know how true it is. Yeah. I hope it ain't true, but it's just mad.
Unless it's America's way of putting a bit boots on the ground, they've got to have Burger Kings and ski resorts, haven't they?
Exactly. Because the Yanks have they've kicked off with the Houthi rebels, and the Houthis they're responsible for a lot of the pirates in the Red Sea.
Arr.
Arr. And it's sort of it's gone under the radar a bit, I think. But part of me's like, you can see where the Americans are coming from, because obviously the pirates, they disrupt a lot of the world trade. It's the Red Sea. Is it the Red Sea? Not the Red Sea. What's the canal?
The Suez Canal.
Suez Canal. That's it. Fucking hell. Obviously, a lot of the world trade comes through there. Take them out,
Yeah.
And let's sort out world trade, make it a bit more efficient. Because I remember me and my missus bought a sofa last year, and it was delayed 7 weeks because the ship couldn't go through the Suez. It had to go round what is it in South Africa, the Cape Horn.
Yeah.
So it was delayed. So yeah, sort out those pirates. Arr. What did you say the other week? We talked some absolute bollocks on here. Oh, God. Right. Anything else on the news?
I did see the Battle of Britain Memorial flight has been given the green light to fly again after one of the Spitfires crashed, and that killed squadron leader Mark Long.
Oh, yeah.
That seemed a long time ago now, but they're back up and running, so they'll be doing whatever displays they go to.
Happy days.
Yeah.
That's good for them. I think we both go on the Forces News website, don't we, to get our news from. What did I see on there? It was Friday, the machine gunners from A Company, the 1st Battalion, the Royal Anglian Regiment, better known as the Vikings. So they were conducting a live firing exercise as part of a platoon attack. Did you ever do live firing exercises?
To be fair, not... no, we did actually, yeah.
Must have done, yeah.
Not like what the infantry do, obviously. I remember doing section attacks and things like that, but it was mainly tanks. The tank live firing was good fun.
I was somewhere, possibly down in Salisbury, because there's a lot of land down there, isn't there? And there's the older Apache range, and the Apaches would come over and be like, boom, 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 boom,
yeah.
which was quite Gucci, quite alley. But what I found interesting was this live firing exercise took place on a Friday, and it just brought back memories of thinking, oh my God, what was the saying? Well, you paid 24 hours a day, lads.
I can just imagine them poor blokes in the army, stood outside the army at 8 o'clock at night on a Friday. Yeah.
Cleaning weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, God bless them. And then what else? We got some... Oh, yeah, this was an interesting one. So HMS Lancaster's crew, working with a New Zealand-led combined task force. They've seized 319 kilograms of heroin and 83 kilograms of methamphetamine from a vessel in the Arabian Sea. So that's more Class A drugs off our street, so the price is going to go up.
What do they do with it? Do they burn it or something?
Would it be held as evidence?
Dunno.
I'd have thought it'd have been held. You can't just burn it because you want to prosecute the criminals.
Or could they use the heroin for pharmaceutical things? I don't know. Can they process it and make morphine out of it? Or can they do that?
No, I wouldn't have said so.
Or does it just go straight back on the black market?
Yeah, probably. But yeah. So that well done the crew of the HMS Lancaster. Hopefully you weren't pocketing any of it and having yourself a little party.
Yeah. Whoop whoop.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something. You were just going whoop whoop.
Whoop, whoop, yeah. Well done.
And then I sent you and Chizard this headline, didn't I? I want to know your reaction on it. Defence chiefs to target airsoft players in attempt to boost military recruiting targets.
Yeah, I see that, and I just thought I had to Google it and search, and I just couldn't make no sense of it really.
Mad, isn't it?
Yeah, when I was a teenager, me and my mates, I've mentioned my best mate Brett before. When I was about 12 or 13, we used to all have BB guns, and we used to go over the woods. There was a little bit of woods where we lived, and we called it the cat jungle. No one knows why it was called the cat jungle, but everyone knew it was like that. We'd go and have little battles over there, about 10 of us, and we used to call it BB War. And we had the science safety goggles. We'd be running around with them. We had a bit of PPE and having battles, and it's good fun, but it's not the same. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? What transferable skills are there?
Yeah,
because you look at these, and I don't want to stereotype, but I just imagine these airsoft players are, I don't know, like your Dave from IT, slightly overweight.
I get it's the same looking at it. They dress up the same and that, but it's only a tiny little part of being a soldier is running around with a gun, isn't it? Really, I think it's desperation. Really, I think it really is desperate.
I think that's one thing we can take out of it.
Yeah, to announce that's what they're doing. I think that is desperate. I think maybe put recruiting posters up in their shops or but to admit they're actively looking into these groups. That is very strange.
Yeah, well, as you said,
nothing wrong with the people who do it. That's a good hobby.
Keeps you active.
Yeah.
All the gear, no idea springs to mind, but yeah, it is desperate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it? Are we being too judgmental? Is it desperate or is it outside the box thinking?
I don't know. I can imagine a lot of people with ADHD running around with BB guns.
All I can say is you look absolutely disgusted by the headline.
No, like I say, there's nothing wrong with what they do. What a great hobby, but like, paintballing's another one. Why don't they target paintball?
Yeah.
At least it really hurts.
Yeah, true. I don't know. Or what about computer games like Medal of Honor or?
Yeah, we might get some really good soldiers.
All right, as we said, I think I don't know. I think after last week, to be fair, where the Armed Forces and Veterans News got us wound up a bit, maybe we haven't invested as much time, or maybe there's not as much going on in the world that we want to comment on. But yeah, that's a few of them. So moving on to the listener sit rep. Anything that's come in, any voice notes, any shout outs?
Reb said,
go on.
He uses chip and pin, and he doesn't use checks in Florida.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so they've moved on.
Oh.
Got with the times. Well done, America.
But does he use contactless, though?
I don't know about that.
Yeah. Come on, Rab, we want to know about the contactless.
He said Bill Skilling.
Okay.
He said he's a bit late, but he said the worst kit, the most useless kit he ever got was the moulded earplugs for Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Apparently they cost £800. I don't ever remember seeing anyone wearing them.
No. Because didn't they have like the hole in them where you could plug in like your PRR or headset?
But you couldn't hear a thing. That's the trouble. They were so good you couldn't hear nothing. So they were useless. That's too good.
Yeah, not so good in a middle of a firefight where communication is vitally important.
Yeah, my father-in-law Tim said, "Is it essential to have things inserted into your anus?" The first few episodes, there was a lot of that mentioned.
Yeah, there was. Is it essential? No,
but it's fun.
It's fun
if the right lubricant's used.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't use Vicks
or DP. Unless you're a proper perv like Rab.
Yeah, or Raf Reg.
Yeah.
Got a couple of a word and a phrase that I've heard. Schnurgle. Have you heard of a schnurgle?
Yeah, it rings
sort
a bell.
like,
on.
We're going to schnurgle through it. Almost like you're going to sneak around here. You're going to schnurgle.
Snurgling, yeah.
And the other phrase someone sent me last week was, you can wrap a shit in tinfoil, but it's still a shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've got... This is related to last week, really. It was a bit late. My mate Rob Clark, a.k.a...
Never too late. No, never too late.
A.k.a. Sweet Rob.
Okay.
That name comes from... we found a love letter. And it started off, Sweet Rob. And this love letter went on from there. But we always called him Sweet Rob after that.
Yeah.
But he's become a teacher. So he was a soldier. When he left the army, he'd become a teacher. And he said, like, it's a great career, if you like. I know a few people have left the army and become teachers.
Yeah.
He said there's a website. I think it's a government website.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a website and it's goes something like this. getintoteaching.education.gov.uk. We'll stick the link on the podcast. But he says you put all your details, all your qualifications in it, and it basically tells you what you need to become a teacher.
Yeah.
Creates a pathway for you. But he said it's really good.
That is good.
Yeah. One of my mates at work, Jason McCluskey, said he's local barber. This is in Wickford in Essex. His name's Steve Parker. He started a group called Boxers Barbers for Ukraine, and they take humanitarian aid to Ukraine. They've got Facebook. I think they've got a website.
Yeah.
If anyone's interested in giving stuff to Ukrainians, get in touch with them.
So what are they called again? They do it all, didn't they?
Yeah, Boxers Barbers for Ukraine, and it's a group in Wickford in Essex.
Nice.
Yeah, I think they drive. They've got a van. They drive over there whenever they fill it up.
Yeah.
Take whatever they can.
Happy days. I think it was last week's episode about life after service and being in Civvy Street, and my mate Sam Stone Street again with his dodgy knees. Simply says, not shaving is nice, not polishing boots is nice, and doing fizz when you want to is nice. Well, we spoke about that last week.
Yeah,
I don't know about doing fizz when you want.
I say I don't want to.
Yeah,
so
yeah. That's nice. Yeah. So today's question for you guys listening to send in for future episodes is, what were your funniest or most savage punishments? So yeah, let us know. Right then, if you've made it to episode 8 and still haven't got in touch, what are you waiting for? A signed invitation from the Queen's Ghost? Whether you want to share your story, ask a question, or offer some banter, or just tell us we're full of it. Here's how you can reach us.
Yeah, just search The Muster Point on Facebook, TikTok, X or YouTube. We're the ones not trying to flog beard oil or tactical shovels with 12 hidden functions.
If you prefer the classic approach, drop us an email, either steve@themusterpoint.org.uk or stuart@themusterpoint.org.uk. If you want sarcasm wrapped in sincerity, email me. If you want a reply that's part advice, part meme, and part existential crisis, email Steve.
Yep, my inbox is a mystery box. Sometimes wisdom, sometimes nonsense, sometimes both. But we do reply eventually.
We're also on WhatsApp. Check the show notes or our socials for the number. Voice notes, questions, banter, life dilemmas. We're here for it all.
Send us your problems and I'll solve them using life experience, a bit of common sense and maybe a Jaffa cake.
So you've got no excuse now. Email, socials, WhatsApp. And if you like what we're doing, share the podcast. Who knows? One of your mates might be sitting alone needing to hear this. So that was how to contact us. Now we come to the main point of the show, Frontline Focus, where we're talking about punishments, the ones you've witnessed, the bizarre, the howling, the ones you've experienced, everything. What you got, Steve? Anything? I bloody hope you've got something.
I remember getting told to weed the tank park, and in Fellinbostel, our tank park was massive and it was all cobbles.
Yeah.
The rumour was that cobbles were laid by Jews in the Second World War.
Okay.
So they were sort of listed. So
Yeah.
they were never allowed to be covered with tarmac.
Listed cobbles.
Yeah, it was horrible. You rode a bike down there, it was horrible in your bike. And driving a tank in the winter,
Yeah.
every year you have to do like a test with a tank where you drive it in a straight line, make sure all the gears are working.
Yeah.
I don't know what, because I used to drive them on the roads anyway, but you had to do this to sign it off as part of one of the services. And I remember once I was doing it and then pulled the right stick, it did nothing. Pulled the left stick, did nothing. Where it was so cold and icy, we were just going in a straight line about 30, 40 miles an hour. And all of a sudden it gripped and we just spun round.
Yeah.
And it was quite scary. But I say it's because of the cobbles, because they were like an ice rink.
Yeah. And what? And you had to de-weed these?
With a butter knife.
Yeah, oh, don't, mate.
Yeah. And me and my mate, I think it's me and my mate, Gene, Stowie, the usual suspects. We probably, I don't even know what we've done.
Yeah.
But we spent, it was in the summer. I think in the end up, when someone got a load of beers, we had a laugh in the end, bit of music on, weeding the tank park with a butter knife.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. You served in the tank regiment and I was in the Royal Engineers. But there must be like a global punishment list, because I've got literally the same punishment. So when I was a sprog, a SAT soldier, I think we spoke about it, soldier awaiting trade training, I was at 39 Engineer Regiment at Waterbeach. I got punished with de-weeding the driveway at 39 Engineer Regiment. And anyone that's been there, it's about at least 500 metres long. And I was made to de-weed it with a knife. What made it even worse is it was a Saturday, and it was the Saturday of my 22nd birthday.
Oh,
and, you know, it's one of them things when somebody goes, oh, did you enjoy your time in the army? And I'm like, yeah, it was brilliant. And then suddenly I realised, remember days like that, 22nd birthday, de-weeding 500 metres of driveway with a knife. What made it even more unstomachable was the reason why I got punished. So imagine, obviously I'm a sprog, I've just turned up at this unit, don't know anyone, nobody's got my number, no one really talks to you. And you probably remember that it was you had to read part one orders, or orders would go up each evening in the block, and it was your responsibility to read them, and it would outline what was going on the next day, timings, etc. So as a good sprog sapper, I duly read the orders as they went up. But what I didn't realise, there was an additional part that went up on the notice board at about 11 o'clock at night.
Oh, that's good.
Now,
Really, I bet it's really important as well.
basically it highlighted there was a change of time of the morning parade. And obviously all the blokes that had been there, it was like somebody would see it, or the orderly dog who put up the orders would let the blokes know. But because I'm the duty sprog, nobody tells me. I think, yeah, I've read orders, happy days, get me fat one down, go to parade the next day, and consequently I'm late. And it's like, right, Mendelson, right, you're going to be on ROPS. Well, when it ROPS?
Yeah, restriction of privilege. Restriction of privileges.
And
didn't they used to call it jankers? Years ago. That was...
My Navy mate calls it jankers.
Oh, so I know my dad and all the older boys, they used to call it jankers.
But yeah, so I got, my punishment was to de-weed the driveway, and to me it was like through no fault of my own. But you just take it on the chin, didn't you?
A couple of punishments I've just thought of. One of them, it's quite a bad one, really. I just come back from first tour of Iraq.
Yeah.
So I mentioned before, I'll see things differently. I weren't quite settled. We went to do CAT in Warminster. Did you ever do that?
Cat.
It's
No.
Combined Arms Tactical Trainer. Big simulators.
Okay.
You have a tank squadron, infantry companies. There's simulators for everyone. Anyway, we were staying in the Royal Welsh's camp because we come back from Germany to do this. So it's a big piss up for a week. So we'd all been out in the piss, and I woke up in the middle of the night. There was someone in my room. Yeah, and then I could hear them going through my stuff.
Yeah.
So I didn't even question it. I just jumped out and battered them.
Yeah. Was it a one-man room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Z type. We was used to
right.
the old accommodation in Germany. We shared accommodation. This was your own room.
Yeah.
I say he was going through my stuff, and I just battered him. It turns out he was one of the lads in my squadron.
Yeah.
And
But he still shouldn't have been there, should he?
I was pissed. I don't remember it. But one of my mates come in and said, "Well, what are you doing?" I said, "Get this CUNT out of my room," sort of thing, and dragged him out and left him. Went to bed. Next morning, we've gone and prayed, and this poor lad, his face was like the Elephant Man. And Sergeant Major's come out, and he's gripped me up, grabbed me around the scruff of the neck. He's only a little bloke, so I was a lot taller. But anyway, he stood there, like holding my throat, screaming and shouting at me. And I told him what happened. I was like, he's going through my stuff, like, But I said, I'm sorry, but they wouldn't let him out in the minibus. So the whole day he had to sit in the minibus because I was embarrassed about the state of him. But my punishment was because we were going straight to Canada.
Yeah.
I had to go on an advance party to Canada.
Oh, yeah.
Result. my tank crew were already on advance party. So we got out there well early. Our tank was all ready to go for the exercise. So where everyone else is rushing around, it actually worked out all right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did you find out why he was rooting around in your room?
He was a bit of a strange lad, to be quite
Was he?
honest.
He was probably trying to sniff your pants or something, was he?
Well, you know what woke me up, actually?
Go on.
A camera flash. So he was and I was naked. That's another thing, yeah. I was asleep naked. And, it was a camera flash, so weird.
Do you want to report the abuse? Nah.
Quite like it.
Quite like being voyeured.
But, another time, me and my mate Skid, and there was a summer piss up. It was in Tidworth at this point. They just built this lovely new camp for us. And we was in a piss up.
Yeah.
So me, Skid, and my mate Clint in the cook. We had this piss up in the cookhouse, and we're drinking pints of piss. And we playing. Did you ever play spoof?
Yeah.
You all get a coin or something.
Yeah.
You flick
Like,
it.
yeah. Didn't you have to throw it down?
But we was playing a game of spoof. Loser had to drink a pint of piss.
Yeah.
So we're doing that, and Clint's wife clocked him doing it. She come over and give him a slap round the mouth. Like, disgusting animal. But then he was the provo corporal.
Yeah.
Next morning, on the way out from this piss up, me and Skid have walked out, and there's all these like nice new trees, probably about 12 foot high. With Skid run and jumped one and snapped it.
Yeah.
And it made the funniest noise I've ever heard, like the crack of this tree. So I'm laughing at it. He's done another one. He's like, go and try it. And I was like, I can't. I'm just laughing too hard. I was on the floor laughing. So he snapped about 10 of these trees.
Yeah.
Someone's seen us. So the next morning, about 8 o'clock in the morning, it's a Saturday morning or Sunday morning, Clint, our provo corporal, he's hungover. He's banged on our doors and gone, boys, you've been found out.
You've been caught.
Yeah, you've got to go in front of the RSM's coming in on the weekend.
Bloody hell.
To bollock you.
Yeah.
And he's helping us get dressed. It's a right mess. So he's getting our uniforms off on and everything for us. So we've got in front of the RSM and he's fucking going mad. But to be fair, he sorted us out. He ag-eyed us. Ag-eyed 67. It's quite a new thing. So in military law, you can only be punished once. Okay. So he ag-eyed us and give us shit jobs for the day or the weekend. Because we've been ag-eyed, we couldn't get punished again. Because there was about 15 grand's worth of damage. And apparently the GSM wanted us put in jail.
Yeah.
But we've been ag-eyed. So, our RSM sorted this out, really. But basically, we had to paint daisies, and paint the grass green, paint curbs, polish all the brass at the guard room. But we was having a beer while I was doing it. It's like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But these trees, we tried to repair them with, sniper tape, the green scrim tapes. We taped some of them together, and they grew. But there was about 10 trees we snapped. Well, he snapped. And the RSM was saying to us, how many did you snap? And I went, I didn't snap any, sir. He went, you sure? I went, yeah. I said, to be honest, I was too busy on the floor laughing my head off because it was so funny.
Yeah.
He didn't like that.
No.
It wasn't a response he wanted.
He wanted you to take some accountability, did he?
But I said that I'll take full responsibility. I was there. I was egging him on. But, that's me and Skid.
Yeah. You mentioned there about advance party.
Yeah.
And it just brought back a memory of we went up to the Isle of Islay, which is one of the islands off the west coast of Scotland.
Oh, but the weather's nice.
Yeah. Oh, it was horrendous. So we went up there. It was one of the Royal Engineers construction jobs. So each troop had a different construction task to do. I think my troop was building like a timber raised walkway across a pond or something. I can't really remember. And we were staying up there was like a campsite and we had the old 10 by 10 tents and all this, and then a like cookhouse in a tent, and we had the army chef with us. So everything was self. There was no glamour, put it that way.
One fucking sausage.
One sausage, yeah. There was like a local, I wouldn't even call it a village, like a settlement, should we say. But it had a pub, and we were allowed to go out on the piss and do what you got to do. But then I think one night there was I don't know whether you had it in the tank regiment, where it's like the seniors are going to the pub tonight. Like it's a seniors night out. So all lower ranks have to like be out of the pub at a certain time, and they're not allowed to show their face, which used to wind me up saying rotten. Me and my mate Magsy, so we hanged it out in the pub for too long, and consequently when we were walking back to this campsite, the OC and the badge and all the seniors are walking up the other way, and we're like, "You all right, sir?" Gobbing off. And we got made to stay on the rear party to pack all the tents up and all the stuff like this. But the other punishment was pan bashing.
Oh,
and it came into my head that it sent shivers down my spine, because that was like when you're on exercise or something like that, it's an easy punishment, right? You're pan bashing. And it's, you know what those army chefs are like, with bloody ingrained meat and
there's
sauces.
no Teflon in them pans.
But yeah, it was just that easy part, right? You're pan bashing. Yeah. And what made it even worse was I was actually on the advance party setting up the tent. So I think I spent the best part of 6 weeks on the Isle of Isla, and it's bloody desolate.
I mean, once, did you ever go to Nook Camp?
I don't ring.
In Salisbury Plain, just on the edge of
it rings
Plain.
A bell, yeah.
It was a right shit. There weren't much there. And they was doing it up at the time. I think it's actually a half decent camp now, but anyway, they was doing it up, and we'd been out in the piss down the town, and we come back from the pub, and they'd moved us. It weren't even nice accommodation yet. It was 30-man rooms, but they'd moved us from that to this shack, no windows or nothing, right dump, because these army cadets were having to stay there, and we was like, fuck off. So we've gone on whatever. So we've gone out in the piss, come back, and I thought I'm gonna have a shit in the showers. So I went and shit in the army cadet showers. These kids, these children. And then I was probably about 18, and
still an adult man.
So I went and shit in the shower, and as we're walking back to the block, this army cadets come running over, shouting at us, telling us off.
Oh, right.
He said, "Don't you know I'm a sergeant in the army cadets?" And my mate Andy's pissed. My mate Andy's swinging for him. This little kid, the guard room, there's civvy guards, and they've seen this. They've chased us with the dogs.
Really?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
I just denied.
Did anything come of that?
No, it didn't. I think Andy got a bollocking for trying to beat a kid up.
Yeah.
Deny
until you die.
Well, I denied shitting in the shower, and then once I got out of the army, I see that sergeant major. I went, "Just sir."
It was me.
Yeah, I think he was a major at the time as well. He went, "I know it's fucking you."
I know we've spoken about before in 2005 when I went through training, the sort of army, it had started getting a bit more politically correct, and certainly there were certain things like while on camp, like it weren't like old school where you'd be beating the shit out of or anything. Like it had to be, there was a process for punishment. But when you were in the field on exercise, I don't know if you ever come across the phrase field discipline or FD.
I've never heard it now.
So we'd be on camp, and someone would fuck up and that, and you wouldn't get punished. It would be like, right, we're going on exercise next week. I'm going to give you FD, you little fucking scrope bag. And because when you're on exercise, it can go down as like training or whatever. And you just used to get thrashed within an inch of your life. Right.
I know when I first got to my regiment, my mate Ginge and Dowie had been there a few weeks. They'd been beasted for something. There was a bullying incident, and they had nothing to do with it, but because they was in the same area or whatever, and because they denied anything, they didn't grass anyone up. They was beasted until they was in the gym getting beasted until they was sick. Like they was, and they got told, if you get sick on the floor, you're going to get beasted even more. So they tucked their shirts in and puked in their t-shirts and carried on doing press-ups and sit-ups and stuff. That's horrendous, isn't it? What is that? What's that? I know if someone's bullied someone, they deserve to be punished, but punishing everyone until they grass, that ain't right.
For me, it was more prevalent in basic training phase 2 and that, where you'd get group punishments. Like one person would fuck up and everyone would get punished. Or what would make it even worse is somebody would mess up and they wouldn't get punished, and they'd have to stand there watching everyone else get punished. And I think it was that psychological breakdown thing.
But the PTI that beasted my mates, he was a tanky, but no one liked him. He was a bully, and he'd done his full service, 22 years, whatever, and he wasn't liked by most people.
Yeah, yeah.
The day I've got no time.
And you make a funny point. So there's like, obviously, like the on the piss stories and coming back late and scrapping and all this, and you get punished for that. And then, like, there's like the punishments on camp that you could probably appreciate in the stores of a Royal Engineer Squadron. There's loads of quite expensive, like Makita kit.
Yeah.
Weirdly, the MOD actually spent well because Makita's quite good.
Yeah.
But somebody would break a bit of kit and not own up to it, and you'd get punished for that, and it's sort of fair enough. But then on the other side of it, you had, particularly on pre-deployment training. So I remember being on pre-deployment training for Afghanistan, and I remember one occasion, like, there was this big fuck-off, meaty, para-reg colour sergeant taking us through these drills, and somebody messed up, got the drill wrong, and this bloke absolutely hammered him because he was like, if you do that in 6 months' time when you're on the ground in Afghanistan, your mates are dead.
Yeah.
And he literally, like, I think we were down in crawling through some river or something like that. It was absolutely horrible. And this para-reg colour sergeant, like, basically jumped in and, like, held the guy's head underneath the water, pulled him up and started throwing him around, giving him a few slaps. And then that was it. It was done.
Yeah.
And it's like that sort of punishment where, like, look, you need a slap here because if you do that in real life, people are going to die.
Yeah, yeah. Bit of rough treatment, yeah. Yeah, there was an incident in 2006. I won't say what regiment, actually, but it was a lad called Private Williams. He was drunk at the weekend and his behaviour was bad, basically. He squirted senior officers and their guests with fire extinguishers.
Yeah.
He was just being a pain in the arse all weekend. Well, I think Monday morning, the PTIs and that were told, basically, I want him beasted. Beast him. And he was beasted several times. He was drilled, he was beasted in the gym, and he died.
Yeah.
And but Agai 67 was in place, and that should prevent that from happening. You're not allowed to beast people that hard. It's short, sharp beastings.
Yeah.
The word beasting they try and deny that was a word now, but everyone knew it was a beasting.
Yeah.
But I say they knew he was well hungover, and to be fair, I think they might have found ecstasy in his body after.
Yeah.
But either way, no one should be beasted until they're dead.
That's
Apparently that from then on, the use of the cells in the guard rooms, you're not allowed to be kept in the cells no more.
okay.
It's just until you're taken to military corrective training centre. Colchester. But you're not allowed to be you're not allowed to be imprisoned in a camp no more.
Yeah.
Or I think they have garrison prisons now with trained staff. So they don't kill people. The people who ordered the beasting, organised it all, they got away with it. They got away with manslaughter, even though Agai 67 was in place.
Yeah.
Poor lad died.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. But the senior officers denied that they knew anything about the word beasting.
Yeah. Well, of course, it's shit rolls downhill, doesn't it?
And no one's going to take responsibility for it. But I'll say this lad, and the fact he had ecstasy in his body, he's the wrong one.
Yeah.
But he was still a soldier at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got killed by his own, basically, didn't he?
Yeah.
Which is horrendous.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Glass House. What is it? Military Corrective.
Yeah, military MCTC, Military Corrective Training Centre.
Yeah. It's been mentioned before that you've done a stint there. What was that for? And what was the process surrounding that, as it were?
I was waiting on a corporal's mess do.
Have we spoken about
We
it?
have, yeah. I chinned a bloke, basically.
Yeah.
Who was a bully. He's poking me, clicking his fingers, being really rude to me. I'd had a few beers. And I chinned him. I was arrested straight away. The next morning, released. And basically, a bit like you're being released on bail.
Yeah.
A few days later to go and have an interview. And I was all they was concerned with was boxing training. And I'd never been in the boxing team at that point.
Oh, right.
All they was on about was you must have had boxing training. You must have. It was almost like they were trying to get me to slip up to say I've been trained as a boxer. It was just a really good punch, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, that happened. And then a few weeks later, it come up like I got to go in front of the CO.
Okay.
Went in front of him, got sentenced to 60 days detention.
Mm.
And that was it. I got put in the garrison prison for about 4 or 5 days, then flew to Colchester. I think we flew to Stansted.
Yeah.
Handcuffed on a plane as well.
With civvies?
Yeah, no, this was
a military flight?
Yeah, military escort. Handcuffed on a plane. The air hostesses didn't want me handcuffed. But they're like, we've got to. And it's like, that's just I punched someone.
Yeah.
I've done nothing. I've done what most squaddies do on a weekend at the end of the day, but the CO see it. That was the difference. And I think the bloke really pushed because he wanted to claim, because I think he had some stitches. Yeah, and then went to Colchester. You get searched when you go in. I'd hid money in the inside. I think I put my bank coat and my bank card and 50 quid in the inside under the insole of my boot.
Yeah.
Because I thought, I wasn't trying to escape. I thought when I get released, I wanted to have some money. They found that, so I got strip searched.
Oh, nice.
Proper, torch up the arse and all that. It's quite nice.
Any lube?
No lube.
Just went in dry.
I like it dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you go in your wing, or if you call your wing. Yeah, you go into a wing. I was
Okay.
in A wing, I think it was, which is when you're soldiering on. Most people soldier on. But I was shocked how many people were there. Very petty things. I'd have assaulted someone, put my hands up. I thought it was a bit harsh what I got, but I did what I did. But most people there were for like a lot of the RF were nicking a crate of beer at the officer's mess. So, and I thought, you got praised if you nicked a crate of beer. Oh, I nicked a bottle of wine at the sergeant's mess.
Bloody hell. In Colchester for that?
A lot of them were in there for that.
So what's the day-to-day like in Colchester then?
So
because I've heard like people enjoy it. You come out a better soldier in it.
That's what they say, yeah. And to be fair, the training is very good. It's about a 6-week rotation. So you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you clean your room, have a shower and all that sort of stuff. You go for breakfast and then you start your lessons. And your lessons are your normal military lessons, your first aid, skill at arms, MBC, CBRM, whatever it's called now.
Yeah.
You do PT every day. You have a good PT session every day, but it's not, I didn't find it that hard because they've got to cater for
the RAF.
But, submariners, for instance, who can't run because they're on a submarine. So they've got to cater for everyone. So there's a lot of circuit training where you work as hard as you want to work.
Yeah. And
on a weekend, if you're not on a sick, a lot of people go straight on a sick as soon as you're in there.
Okay.
Get a bit of shit and they don't have to do the PT.
Laminated.
Yeah. If you're not and you behave well, you can go to the gym on a Saturday and a Sunday as well. So you do lessons in the daytime, so skill at arms or whatever. In the evening, you finish, you go back to your room, do block jobs, clean your kit. It's proper bed blocks and all that sort of stuff. Have a dinner, and then you're locked up. And when you're in your room, you're not allowed to do PT. You're not allowed to do press ups, sit ups, nothing like that. There was 8 in my room. It's not called a cell, even though it's got bars on the windows and they lock the door. But in your room, there's 8 of you. So we had a PTI in our room with us. Not that we needed it, but one of us would look out the window because there was a little gap you could see out, keep an eye out for the staff. And we had a circuit, so press ups, sit ups, burpees, all that sort of stuff. By the end of it, I was doing 500 press ups, 500 sit ups a day.
Nice.
You're not drinking, you're eating decent, all right food.
Yeah.
I was quite healthy when I come out. But when I come out, I had a few days off before I flew back. So I went to my mum's house, went out and pissed my brother. And I'd been eating quite healthy for 60 days. I hadn't drunk anything. I hadn't even had a can of Coke. I had a can of Coke on the train on the way and it burnt my throat.
Yeah.
And we're in the pub. I'd had a few pints of kebab. I farted in this pub and it stunk the whole pub out.
Quality.
Yeah.
So do you have any what was in your cell? Just your bed block and that? There was no TV or radio or...
Nah. If your room behaved, you was allowed a radio, but only for a couple of hours in the daytime.
Yeah.
At night, they turn the lights from white light to red light.
Okay.
But when you first go in there, they give you a marker pen because you have to mark your kit up because you get a new number.
Yeah.
Mine was 061. And what we do with that marker pen is you quickly colour the red light in.
Yeah.
So it's a bit dimmer in the evenings because there's no curtains or nothing like that. Yeah, but you get used to it after a couple of days. I actually quite enjoyed it. Most people did, I think. When you've got shorter sentence, there was blokes in. I think you could do 2 years was the most.
Yeah, that's it. And then if it's serious, you get kicked out to Civvy.
Officers can't go there.
Okay.
Yeah, officers are not allowed there. If they're, then we get away with everything.
Yeah.
But if their crime is prisonable, they go to a civilian prison.
Yeah.
I think they go to Chelmsford prison. I think that is where they normally go to. But if you're getting thrown out the army for whatever you've done, you do like course, all your resettlement. You get all the resettlement through the prison.
Yeah.
And, plastering, fault truck, bricklaying, all these sort of short courses. Even if you've only done a couple of years.
Yeah.
You get, they don't just throw you out. They do look after you.
Oh, yeah, nice. Well, it's a shame that doesn't happen in the mainstream.
And also,
forces.
while you're there as well, I remember there was presentations on how to get a council house, how to get benefits, all that sort of stuff. I didn't bother going to it because it was all optional.
Yeah.
I didn't bother going to any of that. But, like I say, people who do wrong, get all that.
Yeah, yeah. But, what were the staff like?
As long as you behaved, they was all right.
Yeah.
They was all staff sergeants.
Because the thing is, it's like they're like normal blokes, aren't they, as well? Yeah. It's like
we had a
posting.
We had a bloke there. He was Remy. He was a WO2.
Yeah.
And he'd gone to Colchester. So he was now, you're an SUS, a soldier under sentence. While he was in there, one of the staff, they knew each other. They was mates. From years before, because people leave their regiment, you have to give up your cat badge.
Oh, do you?
You go and work for the.
Oh, right. So it's not just a posting then.
No.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's a permanent posting.
Yeah.
You change your cat badge to, I don't know what it is. The MPG. It's not MPGS, but something like that.
Yeah.
Might be MPS, Military Provost Service, something like that. But most of them are good as gold. To be fair, if you screw the nut, if you behave, they're all right. But we had an incident there was a bloke who got done for underage videos, underage porn on his laptop.
Yeah.
And I knew about this bloke. And he come into. I was in my room one day and I noticed we had a new name on the bed space, and I thought, I know that name. And then I see him.
Yeah.
And I went straight, because you've got to march everywhere. I didn't march. I just bowled straight in their office and went, I want to fucking work with you lot. And they knew, because they just went, do you want a cup of tea? You march everywhere, you get screamed at if you don't.
Yeah.
But anyway, they sat me down. They went, look, you can't tell anyone what he's in here for. He's not here for that. He's been done for fuel card fraud.
Okay.
I went, I don't care what he's been done for. I know what he is.
Yeah, yeah.
And they went, right, we're going to have to raise this up. I had to go in front of a brigadier who told me I cannot tell anyone or I'll be charged.
Okay.
And I said, well, I've told everyone. Because
Too late.
The only personal possessions you're allowed is 2 photos.
Yeah.
And they go in your locker and everyone can see them photos. And most people had their kids or their wife. And we've got this monster in there. So they moved into another cell because my room, we all refused to have him in there. But another room accepted him. And I was saying, no, bollocks to him. He should
Is that a nonce's wing?
Yeah. And I said that he should be in his own room and shouldn't be allowed out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say people took pity on him.
And what was it like? So how long did you do in there?
Probably about 40 days.
40 days.
Yeah.
And then what was it like when you come back to your unit? Was you like a walking legend or?
Funny enough, my squadron had gone to Iraq. So, and my regiment was in the process of moving back to England.
Yeah.
So there weren't much left there, apart from Egypt squadron. They'd just come back from Iraq. So they're all, that honeymoon period when you come back off tour, you got loads of money on the piss.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't have a bed or anything. Well, luckily, Bingo, who we spoke to before, he looked after me. I had no money either because I hadn't earned nothing while I was in there. You don't earn a penny.
Okay.
So I had no money. I had a couple of 20, 30 quid or whatever left. And so he said, no, come and stay in my room. So he got a DOS bag, roll mats, whatever. He made me a bed up on the floor, took me out in the piss for a few days.
Yeah.
So fair play to Bingo for looking after me. But then,
but hold on, what? Why ain't the army looking after you? I mean, I'm not talking about giving you beer tokens, but at least a bed.
From there, so I probably had a week maximum, and then I flew out to Iraq.
Yeah.
For Telic 10. So I had to fly from Munster to Birmingham, and so from there I got given my rifle, pistol, bayonet, grenade, all the stuff that comes with a rifle and that. Put in a sandbag. I got told just hand it in the airport.
What, on a Civvy flight?
Yeah. I was like, you for real? Yeah, that's how you did. So I got a coach to Munster, flew from Munster to Birmingham, and then went to customs and just collected my sandbag. And it had on it firearms written all over it. And then what I was told to do was get a hire car.
Yeah.
I had to pay for it.
Okay.
I claim it back.
With
the money I didn't have. So get a hire car and go to Bryce Norton, and you've got 3 days before your flight to Iraq.
Yeah.
So I phoned my dad. I went, Dad, can you come pick us up? So he picked me up, and I've gone to my mum and dad's house. My mum's like, what have you got here? I was like, all my kit. What's in the sandbag? I was like, pistol, rifle, magazines, grenades. Not grenades, sorry, was it bayonet?
Yeah. Was you living in Enfield at the time?
Yeah. I fit in with a local.
Get pulled over later.
But anyway, I just stuck it under my bed. I showed my nephews. I was like, hey, look at this. But yeah, and but the army didn't give a shit. So I thought, I don't care. So I kept it under my bed went out in the piss for a couple of days, and my dad dropped me off at Bryce Norton. And I flew to Iraq, and nothing was said about it. No one questioned where this rifle was.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
But, mad, isn't it?
Yeah. But,
yeah. And then you met up with the lads out in Iraq.
Yeah, funny enough. Yeah. But then, because I'd come out on my own, I didn't have any dog tags.
Yeah.
So, there's a process you go through.
Yeah. I was thinking there's probably a lot of shit you didn't have.
Yeah. So I've gone out there, dog tags. So I couldn't go out on the ground until I have dog tags.
Yeah.
So I phoned my mum up, went, Mum, can you get me some dog tags? So my poor mum's had to, no, at the time it was really naughty in Iraq. Telic 9 and 10 were running the naughtiest tours. So she had to go to an army shop and buy me some dog tags and send them out to me. And I didn't think of it till late. My poor mum, she knowing that if she didn't do it, I'd never be able to go into Israel. But it was still dangerous in the airport because you've got mortars and rockets all the time. That's the thing in Iraq. No one was safe. Whereas like Camp Bastion, you was relatively safe in Bastion. In Basra Airport, Shaiba, you've got rockets and mortars all day, all night. So that's why, not knocking the RAF, that's why a lot of RAF died, a lot of ground crew and personnel who don't or shouldn't be seeing action died because that we had to live in these, we call them coffins. So we stacked concrete blocks all around our bed space and we had like a Kevlar table on the top. It was fucking.
I take it you had your deserts and that?
Yeah, it was all put in a cardboard box in the garden for me.
You had your body armour. You had, what about zeroing your weapon? Did you get a chance to do that?
No, I didn't do any of that. I just went straight out. As soon as my dog tags turned up, by the time my mum sent me dog tags out, I'd spoke to we mentioned her before, Pam the Welder Beast.
Yeah.
She'd made me a set of dog tags up.
Good old Pam.
Yeah, good old Pam. But she'd made me a set up, so I managed to go out and do my job.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Oh, bloody hell. So you were reunited with the blokes?
Yeah, and they was broken, to be fair. They'd
Yeah.
only been there not even a month, I don't think. And
they probably didn't even notice that you'd been away at Colchester.
No, you know what? Like, they'd been mortared and rockets. That's the thing. When I've been to Iraq a year before, and there was mortars and rockets, but it weren't nothing like Telic 10.
Yeah.
Like, Telic 9, they've been hammered the whole tour. Like, and I got off the airport, and I just remember looking around, thinking, what the fuck has happened here? There was just destroyed buildings everywhere.
Yeah.
Tents blown up. It was battered. But they'd had years of zeroing in where it hit as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So my mates, they was good, like, really glad to see me. And a lot of them had split up. So half the squadron had gone into Basra Palace, and the other half were left in camp.
Yeah.
So it was good to see them all.
Happy days. The worst, most howlingest punishment I ever suffered was at the hands of Mick Knowles. We mentioned Little Mick. Yeah, we mentioned
Little
him
bully.
quite often. So we were, again, it was another Royal Engineers construction task down in Tenby, which is southwest Wales. And yeah, it was a construction job down there. And I think we'd gone out on the piss. And me and a friend of mine, Kev, I don't know where we'd ended up. It was probably round some chick's house. That part of Wales is pretty damn remote. Couldn't get a late taxi. Ended up staying the night. I think both our mobile phones had gone flat. It's like no comms, no transport. We were pretty much AWOL. And I spoke to Mick the other day when I see it, and obviously it can escalate into quite a big thing. Yeah. So obviously he's got two blokes that are missing, and I think at the time I was relatively new to the squadron. So he's like phoned up the sergeant major back at Leeman and said, bloody hell, these two boys have gone missing. And the escalation process would be to then ring round the hospitals, ring round the cop shops and that, which probably only took about 30 seconds being in a remote part of Wales. But if there was no luck, the next process would be phoning regiment to report it. Because obviously it's a security risk, isn't it? And then if Mick had to notify regiment, then it becomes a big issue, like RSMs getting involved, COs. But yeah, me and Kev eventually turn up with our tails between our legs and report back. And we weren't popular because of the fucking stress and shit we'd caused Mick having to make all these phone calls. So the punishment, and you mentioned PTIs before, because it always fell on the PTIs because they could fucking thrash the living shit out of you. So yeah, Mick got one of the PTIs to basically thrash me and Kev. So the thrashing was, we had all our Combat 95 Bergens on the lot, and we were doing that sort of advanced to contact sort of drill, like pepper potting, enemy front, and then where you have to get down and then leopard crawl and return fire and that, which is quite physical in normal circumstances. But instead of our rifles, we had one of those big 20-litre issued jerry cans full of water, which weighs about 20 odd kilos. And having to do these drills like up, down, drag it round and that, with this is acting as your rifle, was absolutely howling. Like, even to the point where Davey, saying that, we've mentioned it before, Davey Littler was the PTI, your mate Scarce's mate. And he was apologising. He was going, I'm sorry, lads. Like, because obviously he has to be seen to be doing it. So yeah, it was absolutely howling. And we were also gated. Do you remember that saying, gated? So you couldn't leave camp. But going back to what we were saying earlier about do punishments actually work, they don't. Because even after that brutal thrashing and being gated, so all Mick and the rest of the lads went out in Tenby, and me, Kevin, another lad went out on the piss that night in Pembroke, and I think we stayed out late again. Like, yeah, so yeah, they definitely don't work. It's particularly surrounding like on the piss incidents. Like, we never learn, do we?
No,
like,
definitely. But you're saying about like being knackered doing the pepper potting and all that sort of stuff. It's funny because when you're doing it with either live or blanks, and I don't remember being tired until you stop.
Yeah.
And then it's like, fucking, I am exhausted. It's obviously the adrenaline kicking in when you can hear the bangs of the guns, or rifles, sorry, set in the infantry. But it just keeps you going, doesn't it?
Yeah, but this is horrendous. And as I said, it must have been bad when a PTI is apologising.
Yeah.
But it was great fun. And again, it didn't work. So the other ones, I remember this was the biggest fuck around one. I remember being a Marcada, which a Carda is like your junior Brecon. So to get promoted from Sapper to Lance Jack, and which are always fun. It's like 6 weeks of pure beasting. And we were up in Gairloch Head, just north of Faz Lane, sort of up that way. And God knows, well, they don't need a lot of reasons to punish you, but the punishment was a change parade. Everyone must have experienced a change parade. But this one, so basically it was like full combat 95, and then we had to run 100 metres from the accommodation, which was the old Anderson sort of shelter accommodation, into this wood line where there was this like, I don't know, it was like something created by a tank. It was about a foot deep of muddy, shitty water, and we had to leopard crawl through it. And obviously you can't get out of it because the DS are up there watching you. And then it was run back to the accommodation, get changed into PT kit, like the old horrible short blue shorts and horrible green T-shirts, run back up, leopard crawl through this muddy swamp, run back, full, full Romeo NBC, like respirator on as well, run up there, crawl through this muddy ditch, run back, get another set of Combat 95, a clean set of Combat 95 on, run up there, do the same again, get your second pair of PT kit on, run up there, get back. And then it was like by the morning, everything has to be completely spotless on parade. And it was just like...
Did you have mist in order as well?
Mist in order?
You come out just holding a mist tin over your bollocks.
No, we didn't have that. We had ones like absolutely ridiculous ones, like just everyone had to act as an animal. I just look back like thinking... It's just like, just to make you look stupid, I guess.
Yeah, demoraliser, isn't it? Yeah.
I loved it. I was the crab. As you can imagine, after repeating this thrashing of going through this, everything's just caped in mud. Yeah. And it's like, to get it, clean it, dry it.
Yeah. Ironing it dry. People have commented on me, actually, when I've worked before, because get changed into your work clothes. Lock up, and people gone, fucking hell, how quick do you get changed?
I know, yeah.
As a professional.
Exactly. No, you can't fuck around wasting time with that, can you?
Yeah, you undo your belt and do a wiggle whilst you put your shirt on. And...
Still shaving.
Yeah.
Well, I've got one last one, which I thought I'd mention. And I know you mentioned the old famous Way Beefer.
Yeah.
So this must have been about 2008. So 2008, I was down in Chatham on my Class 1 survey course. And when we're down there, so my course was, I don't know, I think it was the best part of a year long. And during that time, each course takes a week stagging on guard.
Yeah.
And it was my course's week on guard. And sadly, one of the lads from back home had died. So I requested to go back for the funeral. Obviously got fucked off. It's like, not a chance. But one of the guys I think the structure was like 12 hours on, 12 hours off. Yeah. One of the guys on my course said, like, I'll cover your shift at that. Like, you can go back. I was like, legend, thank you. Went back to this funeral, went out on the piss, ended up getting in a fight, getting nicked. And so I got nicked with my civvy mate, right? It was an absolute bloody hand grenade. Anyway, getting processed by the custody sergeant. I've gone, right, you're going to go through my wallet. I'll let you know I'm a squaddie. I know you've got a duty to tell my sergeant major or whatever, but look, I'm going to be nice as pie. I'm not going to cause you any trouble. I'm going to get me nut down. Just, look, please consider not telling him. He's going, all right, I'll consider it. Anyway, so I get put in the cell, and the female copper, she's gone, oh, can I get you anything? I went, yeah, can I have 3 blankets, please? She's like, okay. Anyway, so I get woken up in the morning. I think she was a detective. She opens the hatch, and quickly closes the hatch because I'm like naked, probably with a morning wood on. And she's gone, can you get dressed and that? So I got dressed. And I was wearing a suit. Obviously, I'd been at a funeral, and I'd folded it up all nicely in blocks and that in the cell, and then made myself a bed out of the 3 blankets and got me nut down. And she's like, do you often sleep naked in a police cell? I was like, well, if I'm going to go to sleep, I'm going to sleep naked. Anyway, I'd been nice as pie, and I'm getting processed by her fingerprints and that. I've gone, I heard my mate kicking off through the night a bit. She's gone, oh, yeah, he's been processed and gone. I was like, all right, by me playing the game, I get bloody held back. So anyway, I was shitting myself thinking I'm going to go back down to Chatham, who, by the way, so this lad who'd covered my 12 hours, done his 12 hours, then had to cover my other next 12 hours. By the time, so I get down there and I'm thinking, oh, God, I'm going to be up in front of the badge and that. And you don't, so it's 1RSME down in Chatham. So it's like the headquarters of the Royal Engineers. It's like a bad place to get in trouble. Anyway, nothing happened. So I was like, right, touch, got away with this. And I think this must have been maybe a month before my course ended and I was due back at 10 Squadron. So I turn back up at 10 Squadron, new Sergeant Major, Corporal Mendelson, get your feet on my brass line, and absolutely hammers me. So the custody sergeants obviously told whoever he tells, and it's gone Corporal Mendelson, 10 Squadron. That's where the information's gone to. So anyway, we were due to go down on one of these bridging things down in Weymouth. So my punishment, apart from a good bollocking, was basically I had to do guard duty for the week we were down there, so which meant I couldn't go out on the piss. But because I was, I don't know, my face fit within the squadron, do you know what I mean? And I'd been away for a year on course. So it was, Stu's back. One of the staff sergeants goes, right, so we're going out on the piss, so, right, got some sprog, right, you cover him, blah, blah, get out. And again, not learning from any sort of punishment. So we go out on the piss and I end up necking off and I wake up in a young lady's bed, but at 8 o'clock in the morning with my mate Gaz Hamilton ringing me going, Stu, where are you? It's a running theme this, I go missing. So I've told him I'm in Weymouth in some chick's bedroom and that. So he's put one of the other or it wasn't Mick this time, it was a different staff sergeant from the squadron on the phone, who's an absolute legend. He goes, right, Stu, where are you? So I've said roughly where I am. He goes, can you stay there for the rest of the day? And I've looked at this chick and that and gone, yeah. He's gone, basically the CO's coming down from regiment and is going to be basically knocking around the camp, and I don't want you coming in, but he'll be gone by 5 o'clock tonight. So come back then. And that was it. I stayed with this chick all day and then went back to camp and nothing else come of it. Like, I think you mentioned it's like, it is that rite of passage, isn't it? Yeah. Like, and if your face fits and you're a good bloke, you tend to get away with a bit.
Yeah, we had a lad, one of my squadron, another squadron, at Castle Martin. They've gone in Pembroke Docks, and there was a well-known woman, and she was a T-Rex. You know, like she had that illness. What? She had little tiny arms.
What, Mick Knowles? Little Mick?
Yeah. Birth defects, whatever. I don't want to use the word we normally use, but
oh god, yeah.
But anyway, she had she used to have this like necklace, and it was a bottle holder because she couldn't hold her arms were so small she couldn't hold a drink. So they put But anyway, he took her home one night.
Yeah, as you do.
Yeah,
lad.
and made her happy. But he was late. And then the rumour is, this brilliant rumour, that in the morning he's gone downstairs and the mum's so grateful that someone's took her daughter home that she showed her gratitude to him as well. So he was late for work, and we're on tank ranges, which is quite high, fast paced. Everyone, everything's run really well, and he's late, which is bad.
Yeah.
But then the OC and the sergeant major found out why he was late, and they was like, "Oh, go on in, good day,
quality,
hearts and minds."
Yeah. You got to do that, ain't you? Do you remember Kangaroo Courts?
Yeah.
Did you have them?
Yeah, I never went this one, but I did hear about it.
It was like internal.
Yeah.
Right, you've screwed up. We're not going to let the seniors know. We're going to deal with this in house.
Yeah, you're guilty, basically.
Yeah.
You're not getting
off. You had a chance to argue your case, but it was like, no, you're guilty.
Yeah.
And the punishment was usually like down in the top shelf or something like that. Yeah. But again, I think we mentioned it last week. After that, it was done. No one would bring it up again. There wouldn't be any risk. Oh, they've done this to me. Now they're going to like grass on me to the boss or whatever. So it was like, yeah, it's done and dusted, dealt with, move on, which is sometimes what we haven't experienced in Civvy Street afterwards. So yeah, that was some of ours. Have we had anything come in?
I've had quite a few punishments come in.
Go on, let's hear them.
Well, Davey P got bussed from sergeant to corporal.
Yeah.
And a 3-year promotion ban. And that was 4 months before he was due to get his staff sergeant.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a killer, that, isn't it?
He deserved it.
Ah.
He met another man's wife.
Ooh. That's like the ultra no-no, isn't it?
It's weird, though, because like I say, he got punished for that. But I know people who got away with it multiple times.
Yeah. See, we had a case of that at 10 Squadron. Lad, he was in my troop. He turned up from Germany, got posted in from Germany. I think his name was Jugsy because he had massive ears, like a howling thing. And he ended up sleeping with one of the bloke's wives. And literally 24 hours later, he'd been posted again. It was like gone. Yeah. Obviously, as you can imagine, the bloke was raging. He disappeared and left the wife to deal with it. Like
we had a welfare officer that had done it.
But bloody hell.
Yeah, it's the lowest of the low.
Yeah.
That is the lowest of the low in the welfare office doing it.
Yeah. That's an abuse of power right there, isn't
Another one from Davey P. He was an SQMS in Cyclops Squadron.
Yeah.
But when I was in, he was in Badger Squadron. So he's gone over to the Badger block with the lads, and someone got a tattoo gun out, and they all got tattooed. Next day on parade, everyone's getting bollocked for being irresponsible.
Mm.
But all the lads, they never grassed him up though. He just stood there pretending like he's going along with it. Oh, you're terrible. You're such a bad lot. Yeah. So got my mate Matt Adoc.
Yeah.
He said when he was a crow, the worst punishment when he was at Bassingbourne, he got caught with his hands in his pockets, and he said his section commander made him break ice near the river and hold his hands in there for 2 minutes. So he never put his hands in his pockets again.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, but he said when he went back as a section commander years later, if he caught people with their chin straps undone, he'd make them fill their helmets up with water and pour it on their head.
Yeah.
So,
a bit abuse. Was it generational trauma? I think they call it. Gets passed down.
Yeah, Stuttering Smithy. He was in Afghanistan and they was out on the ground, and it was their last day, but they got told the CO's coming out on the ground, so they're going to stay out for another night. And he called him a fucking cunt. He didn't mean to. It's just that it must be part of his stutter. He's got a bit of Tourette's as well.
Well, didn't he get let off as a disability then?
He got pan bashing for a few days.
Good old pan bashing again.
He actually said, though, that he felt bad because the CO was actually quite a good bloke and he gave him time off to do speech therapy. Oh. And it clearly worked because he hasn't got that much of a stutter. Yeah. Mike Skid, he said he got beasted all night because he'd called an RMP a fat ugly bitch. But that fat ugly bitch was the wife of the garrison provost sergeant.
Oh, you don't want to get on the wrong side of him, do you?
My nephew Tommy Black, he said the lad ND'd when they was in basic training.
Yeah.
And he wasn't trusted with a rifle, so they give him a stick to use instead of a rifle. But they also took a picture of him and it was hung above his bed space for the whole duration of his training.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned about ND, and we've mentioned about the lack of or officers seem to get different punishments or not punished at all. And my troop commander in Afghanistan, so I've mentioned that we had a Panther with us, and she got in the Panther and started pressing things which you really shouldn't have been pressing. Ended up NDing 762 from the Jimpy, which fortunately it didn't hit anyone, but the round fell very close to the outer cordon of infanteers, and obviously it all kicks off and they come back like blah blah. As soon as it was found out that it was sound. It's like, what? If that was a normal bloke, you'd have been shipped out of Afghan and in Colchester.
Yeah.
Mad, isn't it?
I know in my regiment, when we was on tank ranges, we used to have a punishment. It was like every squadron had their own one. So I know when I was in Badger Squadron, we had cock of the day. So it was for minor punishment. It was for stupid things, but it was always a cock of the day.
Yeah.
And it was different things. Like we had one time we had an army helmet that was sprayed gold, I think, and it had like a rubber glove, like marigold, with a dildo in it. And it was all sprayed gold, and you had to wear that helmet. This dildo was stuck to the top of the helmet. You had to wear that all day.
Yeah.
Another time there was the gay satchel. It was just a really homophobic, really homosexual like satchel.
Okay.
And it had I'm gay written on it, and you had to wear that all day. You had to, even in the tank, you had to carry it.
Yeah.
So, and I know Davey P got done once. There was a massive wooden cock.
Yeah.
And you had to carry it like a guitar.
Brilliant. Yeah, fun ones though.
But that was even officers got punished.
Yeah.
It was normally the officers, to be fair. 'Cause
Yeah.
quite often it was the tank commander.
Yeah.
Because he was responsible for the tank crew. So, for instance, if the loader forgot to put the bag charge explosive part in the gun, nothing had happened. So you'd have to assume that it was in there.
Yeah.
So you'd have to sit there for half hour, wait, and then try again. And it's just like, the loader would probably thinking, shit. And then he'd start counting ammunition.
Yeah.
Shit, I've got 20 rounds. Oh, shit, I've got 21 bag charges left. So, but the commander would always get done for that.
Yeah. Well, I had one sent in from Steve Brown up at 3-2 Engineer Regiment. So when the worst, he slept in after a night on the piss in Canada and missed PT. So his staff sergeant at the time, who was an absolute gym bunny, fit as anything, he says, he came into the room and woke him up all nice and softly, and you can imagine this. And when Steve opened his eyes, he says all hell broke loose. And he starts thrashing him and another lad who he says will remain nameless around Crowsfoot Camp out in Canada. Yeah. Obviously, I never went to Canada. Steve's still pissed from the night before. This staff sergeant's thrashing them all over the place. He took them to the football pitches, made them do shuttle runs, various exercises in between. Steve says at this point, the 3 chili dogs he'd had on the way back to camp the night before started making an appearance again. And his stomach started to make strange sound. And as he was doing sit-ups, he let out a small fart that resulted in him shitting himself. And the best thing was the rest of the squadron had come out to watch it and seen him shit himself. But on the plus side, he said, after he'd had that explosive incident, that the beasting ended. But he did have to clean it up. A sort of funny one, so that he'd witnessed. So someone had wrote, what's the difference between God and the Sergeant Major of 5 Squadron? God doesn't think he is the Sergeant Major of 5 Squadron on the Thunder box wall. And the Sergeant Major saw it and basically punished everyone and cleaned the toilets until someone admitted it. But the funny thing was it was a different squadron that had written it.
Thing with Batters is I'm sure the altitude's a lot higher than the UK.
Yeah.
So when you do PT out there, it's a lot harder. I don't know how high it is above sea level, but it's a lot higher.
Yeah.
So
plays havoc with your intestine, does it?
Well, just it's harder to run.
Oh, right. Right, so we got sent a voice note from Matt Sleech about a punishment he experienced. So here we go.
All right, lads, how's it going? Big up the muster point. Great podcast, lads. Yeah, it's great. Listen, I was listening to the last episode, and you were going on about stupid punishments that you've had in the army. Well, I've got a classic. I was fresh out of junior leaders, just got posted over to Germany, to Humour. Didn't know my arse from my elbow. Probably about 17 and a half years old. And I think I was like half a fucking millisecond late for parade or something. And one of the recce sergeants, I won't say his name because he was a twat, but he got hold of me and he goes, right, you were late. Report to the officers' mess tonight at 6 o'clock. And the mess sergeant will meet you there and he's got some jobs for you. Because there was an officers' mess function on that night, you know, the summer ball, whatever it was. So I was like, for fuck's sake. So I turned up at 6 o'clock outside the officers' mess and they had an M109, you know, sort of like the old Ace90, parked outside the mess. And it was all sparkly clean and, you know, it was part of the mess function, like. And I met this fat fucking mess sergeant, one of them senior ranks that has managed to get all his rank through being a storeman or just kissing arse, and now he's like working in the officer's mess. He's one of them, he's a right dickhead. Anyway, so I stood there and he comes out and he goes, right, here's a can of red paint, go round the gun and paint all the DFTs. And I know you all know what the DFTs are. It's a don't fucking touch. Or the red, any screws, bolts, nuts that are painted in red in the army is a DFT. I don't fucking touch. You know, you had one on your SUSAT and that, didn't you? And only armourers and that are allowed to touch them. Anyway, he goes, right, here's some red paint. go around and paint all the DFTs. They've got one on the rear idler and stuff like that. I was like, what a shit job this is. Anyway, gives me the paint, and I said, can I have a paintbrush then? And he goes, no, I haven't got any brushes. You'll have to use a leaf. Yeah, a fucking leaf to paint all the DFTs out with this red paint. And I'm just stood there. And obviously I can't say anything to him because he's a sergeant and I'm just a crowbag. So I'm stood there. So I picked up a leaf. I think it was like some kind of shit holly leaf or something. Anyway, dipped it in the paint. It obviously just starts dripping everywhere immediately, all over me boots, all over the floor, just making a fucking mess basically. And I'm thinking, what am I doing here? I thought I'd join the army for helicopters and tanks and bombs, and they're here painting with a fucking leaf. Anyway, all the officers and that started to turn up, and I was still stood there with this fucking leaf dripping red paint off onto the floor and that. And they must have invited the battery sergeant majors from the regiment, because they all turned up, and my battery sergeant major was there. And he walks past me and he goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" I went, "He's told me to paint the DFTs with this leaf." And the BSM just said, "Right, fucking put that paint down and fuck off. I'll have a word with him." So I'm hoping that mess sergeant got a fucking roasting. But there you go. There's a punishment for you. Painting a fucking M109 DFT bolts with a fucking leaf. Anyway, lads, I've got loads more stories, hundreds of shit like that. So take it easy, take care, and I'll listen to the next episode. All right, lads, nice one, bye.
So that was the voice note from Matt Sleech and his experience with being made to paint.
That is a class one. That is so
with a leaf.
Yeah, that's just the army all over it. I thought he was going to say his finger or something. But a leaf.
Yeah.
It's almost like that waster of a sergeant. It's just like, how can I make it even more of a punishment and humiliate
exactly.
him? The trouble is, I can imagine like his mate just laughing, like, not at him, but with him. Like, you got to laugh.
What can you do?
Yeah, but I know when I first got to my regiment, they'd just come back from Iraq.
Yeah,
and the tanks had all been painted green, but we had to paint them back to desert again.
As you do.
But I think normally they go through like a spray booth. We didn't have that. We had tins of paint and boot brushes.
Yeah.
So we had to paint tanks, 70-ton tanks, with boot brushes. Yeah, and then
and as you say, there's probably a process for like.
Yeah, and
I can't imagine that is what the British Army does.
Literally, we had so much paint. We was literally pouring. One of you poured a paint. It was like what's that Olympic sport when they spread it? Curling. Is it curling?
Yeah,
that's what it's like
on the ice.
Yeah, and the other one would be like guiding this paint with his boot brush. But then about 6 months later, we had to paint them back to black and green.
Yeah.
So, fuck's sake, so we'll get the boot brush out again. I think we had rollers this time, but it was like 4-inch rollers.
Yeah.
But we started painting massive. Like we painted them green and then just painted massive cocks and tits on it.
Yeah.
The black bits were like big cocks or big tits, and no one noticed it. But there is a specific way you're supposed to paint them.
Yeah.
We're not painters. So, they had big black cocks and big black tits all over the tanks.
There you go. That was some of mine and Steve's punishments and some stories we've been sent in. If you're listening to this and you've got any ones that you think you're able to share with us, get in contact with Steve. His email address is
steve@masterpoint.org.uk.
Or you can find us on WhatsApp. Send us a voice note. We love voice notes, don't we?
Send us a voice note. It's funny.
Matt was brave enough to do it, so I don't know what your excuse is. Get on it. So now we come on to the part of the show called Muckers Remembered. And this week, Steve has got a mucker he'd like to remember.
This week, I'd like to remember George Streeter. His service number was 42490, and he served with the 7th Battalion Royal Fusiliers. He died on the 24th of March 1918. He was 35 years old. He was wounded, probably in France, and died from his wounds in England. He was my wife's great-great-granddad. On the same day, 3,017 British and Commonwealth personnel died. His daughter was Hilda. She was 2 years old when he died. Later in her life, during the Second World War, her husband was killed. So let's remember the sacrifice and the grief of the families of the casualties.
Thanks for that, Steve. What was the number you said? Died in one day?
3,017.
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah. And obviously he wasn't injured on that day.
Yeah.
And from the photos we've got of him, he was looked like he was getting better. You know, he's in a wheelchair, and then later on he's in a bed on wheels outside. But we've got photos of him.
Yeah.
In a convalescence home. But whatever reason, he died.
Yeah.
There was so, the antibiotics or penicillin was a very new thing, I think, in them days.
Yeah.
Um,
You've shown me the extensive sort of documents and pictures you've got that have remained in the family, which is brilliant. So you said Hilda, his daughter.
Yeah, later on in her life, during the Second World War, her husband went off to war and he was killed in France.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about him later on in the year.
Yeah. So she in effect lost her father and her husband to 2 world wars.
And I don't know how old she was when she died, but she lived a long life. My wife remembers her very well.
Bloody hell.
But poor woman.
Yeah. The sacrifices and trauma from war, it spreads further than the battlefield, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, the families and friends.
Yeah. It is sad. So now we come on to the Bravo Zulu shout out. And in the running theme of today's episode of punishments, we're going to talk about an organisation called OpNova. So OpNova is the organisation that supports veterans in the criminal justice system. Have you heard of them, Steve?
I've heard of it. I've never had anything to do with it, thankfully.
OpNova originally started as Project Nova and covered only certain areas. So I know Hearts, Beds and Bucks was part of that area, but in recent years they've come under this banner of the government ops, and they now have reps in every single county in England. This is the only caveat with this organisation. You do have to be living in England. I don't know why they can't roll it out to Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland, to be honest with you, but I guess people that are on a lot more money than me make these decisions for the right reasons, or maybe not. But interestingly, so I've had experience on 2 fronts with OpNova. I had direct experience after being arrested back in 2018, and I was quite fortunate. So when I got taken into custody and put in front of the desk sergeant, fortunately the desk sergeant was actually ex-forces, so he was very aware of OpNova and basically referred me straight into them. And I had a caseworker come round and link in with me and see if I had any welfare issues. I mean, fortunately, there was no further action in my case, so I didn't really need that much support. But they're there. And now, so I work quite closely with the caseworker through my work at CGL for our area, and the process should be the custody sergeants or the desk sergeants or the police in general should be aware of OpNova, and the process is if you get taken into custody as a veteran and you identify yourself as a veteran, they should immediately refer you to OpNova. That's what should happen. However, as always, I don't think that is happening, because I saw on Facebook even yesterday a veteran had said that they'd been arrested and they were seeking support for the legal issues. And obviously he'd been taken into custody and this referral hadn't happened, which as far as I'm aware should happen. But it's definitely worth highlighting, because as you said, Steve, these organisations need highlighting, because if people don't know, they don't know the help is out there. And if you are ever in the unfortunate situation where you're being arrested, highlight to the arresting officer, highlight to the custody sergeant that you are a veteran and you want to speak to or be referred to OpNova, and they can support you with the process and they can be there for you. As I said, my experience, I didn't need them that much, but I think he came round and had a brew with me about 3 times just to see how I was getting on and if I needed any further support.
It's not, you're not going to get away with anything, but you'll make sure you get a fair trial.
Yeah.
And the support, like you say, the reason why you've done whatever you've done, they might be able to address that.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Also, I suppose, you're supporting your family as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. And they come under, so I think they're funded by the NHS, and they come under the banner of Op Courage. So they've got direct links to mental health support.
Yeah, that's good.
And they also support veterans that are serving time, if you are in that unfortunate situation where the crime you've committed carries a custodial sentence, they'll still support you through the process. And as Steve said, it's not about getting away with stuff. At the end of the day, like if you're guilty, you're guilty. But it's just another organisation that's out there that's supported veterans that I don't think enough veterans know about.
And if you do end up in prison, I know that the charities do have people that can go up. For instance, SAFA, they do have a regional person who's trained a caseworker that can go into the prisons to help you. So the charities are still available if you do end up in trouble.
Yeah.
That's always worth knowing as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll put as always, the details for Opnova in the show notes. If you are on bail or you do face arrest in the future, if it ever happens, keep them in mind. And if you're listening to us from a prison cell, reach out to Opnova.
Yeah. And why have you got a phone?
Or a radio. Well, they get everything in there, don't they?
This ain't on the radio, though, is it?
No, it's not. No. Well, you got a phone.
Yeah. Why are you putting phones up your arse?
Yeah. So we're coming to the end of this week's episode. Episode 8, checked off. Obviously, we need to go and edit it, and hopefully it'll be out Friday. Or if you're listening to this, it may well be Friday already. But what we've spoken about today, Steve, any highlights, any lowlights?
Bit of news, not so much negative news.
We were a bit light on news today, but I think that's a lot to do with last week's episode was quite heavy.
Yeah, we've had,
on news.
We've had some of our experiences, and we spoke about some of our listeners' experiences. And a voice note from Matt.
Yeah, Matt. Yeah. I think we've come to the decision that possibly punishments don't work.
Yeah. Yeah. Good job we got Opnova now.
Yeah.
We've had a fallen mucker, George Streeter.
Yeah, we've had that. For you, what was the funniest punishment we've heard today? I think painting with a leaf was a good one.
That is a good one, yeah. There's another one that's unheard. But smashing rocks with a sledgehammer in the desert.
I don't share too much. I'm
gonna leave that hanging.
So we've got Steve's good mate Ginge sent us in one, and Steve's got a horrendous picture of Ginge. Like ginger hair, ginger face.
Yeah, just disgusting.
Ginger eyeballs.
He must stink like a wet dog.
Like, so I'm going to put this
a public phone box.
I'm going to put this Ginger's story on Facebook along with this picture. We need like some sort of government health warning to go with this picture because it's horrendous. It's like looking to the sun, innit?
Yeah,
looking in his face. Yeah, there's been a few incidents of people shitting themselves during thrash-ins.
Yeah, it's always a good one.
Sadly, you shared the story where the guy got punished or thrashed to death.
Yeah,
which shouldn't happen. So I think we've also come to realise that alcohol seems to always be involved with these punishments that we've spoken about today.
Yeah.
Next week's episode, we're going to be diving into
the relationship with booze in and out of service.
Yeah. Afterwards, you realise you can't get as twatted as you used to be able to. And that's not just an age thing, but turning up half cut into a civvy job never goes down well, does it?
I said this earlier, like, when you're in the forces, not saying turn up for work's acceptable, but turn up with a hangover, no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
But turn up with a hangover when you're a train driver is frowned upon.
Well, I think it's more than frowned upon.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Like you worked on the railways, didn't you? And if you there was no chance, you'd be off, wouldn't you?
The drink and drive limit was lower than what on the roads is.
Yeah.
So it was pretty much zero.
Yeah. And for good reason as well. Yeah. We still keep threatening to do this spin-off series of the Muster Point Beyond the Wire. So, keep an eye out for that. It may come, it may not. We're in the process.
Yep.
And if you're in Stevenage on a Tuesday morning, come down to the Muster Point. Where can they find us?
Fairlands Valley Park.
Yeah. We got a postcode? No. It's on our Facebook group.
Yeah, Google it.
On our Facebook. Google it. Yeah, you can actually Google the Muster Point Stevenage. And it'll go to your Google Maps.
Yeah, there you go.
Lovely. Right. All right, before we pack this one away like a dodgy set of parade boots, we want to hear from you lot. This podcast isn't just about us reliving our disciplinary disasters. It's about sharing the laughs, lessons, and absolute stitch-ups that make military life what it is.
Yeah, we know we're not the only ones who've copped extras for ridiculous reasons or watch someone getting beasted for something they definitely didn't do. So tell us, what was your most savage punishment? What was the weirdest, funniest, or most unjust bollocking you ever got? Or better yet, what's the best one you witnessed and quietly thank the gods it wasn't you?
Send us your stories. We want the full works. Whether it's a harmless telling off or a punishment parade worthy of its own Netflix series, get in touch. Find us on Facebook at the Muster Point Veterans, X at the Muster Point, TikTok at the Muster Point, and YouTube at the Muster Point Veterans. Or drop us a voice note if you want to share your story in all its glory.
And if you're someone out there helping veterans, whether it's through jobs, mental health, or just being the one who always turns up with biscuits, we want to give you a proper shout out in a future episode. Let us know what you're doing.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Muster Point on your favourite podcast app, leave us a review, and share this episode with your mates. Think of it like passing on hard-earned wisdom, just with more swearing and fewer PowerPoint slides.
Next week, we're diving into another belter, so don't miss it.
Right then.
You heard him. See you next week.